of times we don't see the change before us. Operate in a sense of desperation, and a lot of times we don't see the change before us. We operate in the fight of life. We operate in a sense of desperation, and a lot of times we don't see the change before us. We operate in the fight of life. We operate in a sense of desperation, and a lot of times we don't see the change before us.
In the yard, set a jumper, music a bubble, steam as a bubble, but chalice a bubble from morning to dark, and the fire on the flower just a blaze up. In the yard, set a jumper, music a bubble, steam as a bubble, but chalice a bubble from morning to dark, and the fire on the flower just to go about Jamaica. We are the confidence of the African continent. No influence is greater, and the state of the nation is testament to why the people are suffer from disease of the mind. Them have their enemy as them deity, so them worship the blind. But the real Black Madonna is the rightful divine, and the king and queen crown same time. Balance in the yard. sit and jump on. Music a bubble, but chalice a bubble from morning to dark. And the fire on the floor just a blaze up. In the yard, sit and jump on. Music a bubble, steam as a bubble, but chalice a bubble. Fire on the floor just a blaze up. Burning out the evil, while the music free the people. Oh, the herb I bring the healing, and the word I bring the knowledge where we take off. Wicked get shake up when the consciousness wake up. In the yard, sit and jump on. Music a bubble, but chalice a bubble from morning to dark. And the fire on the floor just blaze up. In the yard, sit and jump on. Music a bubble, steam as a bubble, but chalice a bubble. The fire on the floor just blaze up. Chalice a bubble right away. Fire upon the floor, just a blaze. Hold on. People of Germany, how you feeling? It's a long time since we're not together. I am so pleased to be here. You notice the stage is looking very scanty today. But guess what? I am here. Yes. We had so many challenges. My background vocalist, their flight got cancelled. All kinds of things happened to stop us from being here today. To keep us in the right frame of mind, knowing that the Most High is in control. We are here together and we are going to hear some beautiful music. Are you ready for some beautiful music? Yes, I. These things come to humble us, but they come to lift us up and remind us we are nothing without the Most High. Jah Rastafari. Kick it off. Yeah. So we give thanks and praise. So you know you have to be my choir today. You ready? Humble me more and more. Everyone to sing. Humble me more and more. The more that I learn, because that I know one is humble me more and more. The truth set me free and encourages me that it humble me more and more. Humble me more and more. There is so much to fear, they say. So many unknowns. There are those who would scorch the face of the earth in a selfish gain of thrones. Learned of the mysteries of forcing the world to comply, but that's what of the sacred is encoded in I. When I tune into the frequency, none of the states of adversity distract from the real I know of the power I'm connected to, and it just a humble me. The heights just a grow and the bliss just a show, and a humble me more and more. The more that I learn, the deeper that I know, and it humble me. Truth set me free and encourages me, and it humble me more and more. Humble me more and more. Brothers and sisters, let's just take a deep inhale. Grounding into the earth, breathing into our lungs, lifting our hearts to the sky. Dance for life. Humble me more and more. of adversity distract from the real I know of the power I'm connected to, and it just a humble me. So much of fire. More and more, the more that I learn, because that I know and it humble me. The truth set me free and encourages me as it humble me more and more. Humble me more and more. I used to be so sure of things, then life began to change. The world becomes a smaller place, an overcrowded stage. Ambition is the overkill, but I am not a slave. So I take away to take a breath and fix how I behave. As I let go of the expectations, I start to feel everything go dark. A new fountain finds its activation. One mind ignited finds its way, and everything following is even greater. When clay becomes creator, it just a humble me. Oh, humble me more and more. The more that I learn, so the little that I know, and it humble me more and more. Humble me more and more. Humble me more and more.
Yes, Gusa Salam. Welcome into our story. It is another Thursday night, and it is July 10th, 2025. Welcome in, everyone. It is an honor to have you here with us. Time is about 7:47 p.m. We will be starting soon. We got a whole lot of things going on everywhere outside. The good, the bad, the ugly, the fun. We got the family. We got acquaintances. Whole lot of stuff going on. So this is a good time for unity. This is a good time for rebirth. It's a good time for revitalization. Definitely keep yourself hydrated. There's a lot of hot weather out here, and the weather gonna be crazy. There'll be some days it'll be raining a lot. There'll be some days it'll be super, super hot. You're gonna need that coconut water. You're gonna need the hydration. You're gonna need that H3O, that watermelon juice. And keep your hydration up. We got Black August coming up. Black August coming up. That will be on the 30th of August. As you know, we started out in the beginning from August. Started out with the fasting and the meditation early in the rising. And we moved on and we're moving through the year and we're getting into the last stretch for the year to close out. When we close out in the summertime and then begin our year in the evening, like we say in the Bible, in the beginning was the darkness, so the evening starts today. So we start our day with September 11th. That's where our new year starts. So we get ready from before the dusk to get ready for the next day. We are a culture and civilization of preparations. So the Most High has gifted us with the abilities and the eyesights to see certain things in the future and see certain things at the right times and right dimensions. So we give thanks for that. So definitely, anybody who is into Black August, if you know what Black August is about, liberation theology, if you know what Black August is about, unity, if you know what Black August is about, it is about Marcus Garvey, not Turner. It is about the inception and the birth of the Each Open World Federation Incorporated. It is a month for many great things. It's a month for many good things. It's a month for reflection, a month for preparation to get into the darkness because the summer at the high with the sun was there, but now it's time to prepare to get our bodies ready for the darkness, get ourselves ready for the time when the harvest must be filled in. So, like I said, we got a few things going on. We are still looking for some performers, vendors, and looking to push the word out there, looking for anyone who would love to have us, speak about what we're doing with our Black August this year in North Carolina, Soul City. So we give thanks to that. Also, there's an event going on in Harlem, New York this July. It is going to be on the 17th, I believe. That's going to be in New York, and that's local 26 out of New York is having that event. So please show your support if you're up there. It's going to be at the Caribbean Center. So definitely check those out. If you need any information for that, feel free to seek out, some information from us. You can check out our Instagram page. You can check Project Neo, on Instagram. You can check out Local 26 on YouTube as well. They have their YouTube show every Sunday. So definitely check them out. Good fun stuff going on. Got some entertainment. It's the musical unit doing this. So great stuff. To bring some awareness, to bring some unity and togetherness. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So without further ado, this is part three. Part three, we've been studying the law. We've been studying about what His Majesty has done and what these things do hold and how do they stand in international law, how they respected it in international law, how people are obligated to implement certain things in international law, and how do we make sure that we stand together to bring life to this law, to bring reverence to what was set down before us. So we sit, we learn, we stand, we learn, we pay attention, we stay vigilant, we stay awake, and we learn because this is the time to do such. And we are moving to be in an upward position as we should be as upright men and women. So without further ado, we ask the chaplain to come on in. We're going to play the national anthem, and then we'll have the chaplain come on. One moment.
That to be in that land of Ethiopia, it's the black man kingdom. Ethiopia, the land of our fathers, the land where our gods come to be. Like bees to a hive swiftly gather, Jah children are gathered to thee. With orange, gold, and green floating with righteousness pleading, we hail to our God and our King. Humanity pleading, one
Yes, sir. Give thanks.
Nikusa salam. Leku mo. Sila. Sila. Welcome once again to our story. Give thanks to the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. Once again, Mon Bessa Zemanagadi Zahuda. Abakudus Kidamawe. Hadi Selassie Siam Exibia. Adhu Ab. Bared Memphis Kudus. Hali Akal Abakudus Kidamawe. Haile Selassie Siam Exibia. Bahaman Ab. Bared Memphis Kudus. Haile Akal Abakudus Kidamawe. Haile Selassie Siam Exibia. One is the Holy Father, one is the Holy Son, one is the Holy Irit. The might of divine peace of the Holy Triune, the Lord's anointed King. Selah. Truly the Father is holy, truly the Son is holy, truly the Holy Irit is holy. Through the might of divine peace of the Holy Triune, Siam Exibia. Selah, 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 Selah. Hallelujah. Selah. Nugusa salam. Lekrimu. Lekimu. Makam Negatu. Apakudus Kedamawe. Haile Selassie. Siam Exibia. Selah. 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 Our Father who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, throughout earth as it is in Zion. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against Zion and I. Strengthen us in temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, world without end. Through the name and power of the King of Kings, Lords of Lords, conqueror of the tribe of Judah, the true and faithful witness, living man, the Emmanuel, Abakudus Kenamawe, Haile Selassie Siam Exibia. Nugusa Salam Leku Lekemu, Malcolm Negatu, Abakudus Kenamawe, Haile Selassie Siam Exibia. You Nugusi Negesi to ye daily Meskele. Ye Ethiopia Koheb Nugusi. Nugusi Kudus Wede. Amlakana Halina Wasawana. Hasana. Sata Amasagana. 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 Hasana Hasana. Sata Amas Agana. For we, the black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, and self-determination, to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, we do hereby uphold and keep and defend this Constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation, incorporated into His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Abacadus Kinamawi, I CM Exhibir, as Commander-in-Chief of the Imperial Ethiopian Army. In accordance with Chapter 2, Powers and Prerogatives of the Emperor, Article 29, Haile Selassie I, he established we as his holy mission auxiliary for the defense and hold the integrity of Ethiopia. In unity, for in unity we stand, in our integrity and sovereignty. Give thanks, lead us. Apakudus Kinamawe, Haile Selassie Exhibir, our leader, witness, and commander in this Armageddon time. Sila. Give thanks, Chair.
Yes, I give thanks, Shuffle. All right. At this moment, we'll have our minister, Russ Lazarus, begin the night. Give thanks.
Yes, I give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. What we'll do is we will begin with a speech by His Majesty. But tonight, I will play the speech by His Majesty. Give thanks. It's loading. Weather kind of bad out here. Guess it's moving slow.
Welcome to the African Leadership Series, where we bring you great inspirational speeches of African leaders.
I have lived too long to cherish many illusions about the essential high-mindedness of men when brought into stark confrontation with the issue of control over their security and their property interests. Not even now, when so much is at stake, would many nations willingly entrust their destinies to other hands. Yet, this is the ultimatum presented to us. Secure the conditions whereby men will entrust their security to a larger entity or risk annihilation. Persuade men that their salvation rests with the subordination of national and local interests to the interests of mankind. or endanger man's future. These are the objectives, yesterday unattainable, today essential, must labor to achieve. Until this is accomplished, mankind remains happy and permanent peace, a matter for relation. I would like to mention briefly today two particular issues: disarmament and the establishment of true equality among men. Disarmament has become the urgent imperative of our time. I do not say this because that the absence of arms is peace, or because I believe that bringing an end to the nuclear arms race automatically guarantees the peace, or because the elimination of nuclear warheads from the arsenals of the world will bring in its wake that change in attitude required for a peaceful settlement of disputes between nations. Disarmament is vital today because of the immense destructive capacity which men now possess. Ever since the Stone Age, the production of arms has always been the source of man's own destruction. Even though the achievement of general and complete disarmament is time-consuming, it is encouraging to note that great efforts are being devoted to attainment. My country supports the nuclear test ban treaty in the atmosphere as a step towards this goal, even though it is only a partial step. The real significance of the treaty is that it admits of a tacit stalemate between the nations which negotiated it, a stalemate which recognizes the blunt, unavoidable fact that none would emerge from the total destruction which would be the lot of all in a nuclear war. A stalemate which affords us and the United Nations a breathing spell in which to act. The goal of the equality of man which we seek is the very antithesis of the exploitation of one people by another, about which the pages of history, and particularly those written about the African and Asian continents, speak at such length. Last May in Addis Ababa, there was convened a meeting of heads of African states and governments. For 3 days, the 32 nations represented at that conference demonstrated to the world that when the will and the determination exist, nations and peoples of various backgrounds can and will work together in unity, the achievement of common goals and the assurance that equality and brotherhood we desire. Although our position vis-à-vis the power blocks is identified with a policy of non-alignment, our past history testifies to the fact that we've always endeavored to cooperate with all nations without exception. Thus, one of the principles we have agreed at the Addis Ababa Conference gives expression to our fundamental desire to live in harmony and cooperation with all states. On the question of racial discrimination, the Addis Ababa Conference taught to those who will learn this further lesson, and until the ignoble and unhappy regimes that hold our brothers in Angola, in Mozambique and in South Africa in subhuman bondage have been toppled and destroyed, until bigotry and prejudice, malicious and inhuman self-interest have been replaced by understanding and tolerance and goodwill, until all Africans stand up and speak as free human beings, equal in the eyes of all men, as they are in the eyes of heaven, until that day, the African continent will not know peace. We Africans will fight if necessary, and we know that we shall win as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. The basis of racial discrimination and colonialism has been economic. And it is with economic weapons that these evils have been and can be overcome.
If you like more African speeches like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch all our latest videos. Remember to leave your suggestions on the topics you would like us to cover in the comments below.
The issues of the world today, His Majesty addressed them. So that tells you what he's seen and what he didn't see. So when we know that His Majesty addressed do we not think that His Majesty addressed us? As he looks and sees that the world is caught up with war and he's witnessing to all of these things that the world refuses to change as the mindset and the objective. And he's declaring that this mindset must change. Do we think that His Majesty did not think the mindset against us and our trial for justice would not have to continue? So before we go any further with that, I'm going to ask the floor on that, ask to open the floor and get feedback also based on His Majesty's speech. And then we'll begin with the next stage of the discussion. Anyone want to give a word on His Majesty's speech? Any feedback? The thought of realizing that His Majesty was witnessing and seeing the problems in international affairs? And do we think that he did not recognize that those same international affairs and realities would affect us? Floor is open. Anyone?
Yes, I. Shalom. Well, it should be noted that His Majesty gave this speech after the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham that killed the 4 little girls in Birmingham. It was I want to say 3 weeks after that His Majesty came to America and addressed the League of Nations, because they bombed the church in retaliation of the desegregation of the schools in Birmingham that occurred on September 11th, 1963. So His Majesty It's addressing the League of Nations. He came to America on October the 3rd. To address, because that issue with the bombing was world news at the time. And it seemed as if we was moving forward in a more humane society. And then this horrendous act of bombing the church while the children was in Sunday school early that morning, that rising, was headline news around the world. So His Majesty returned and gave that speech. Like right upon 2 weeks after the bombing. It would have been right at the third week after the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham. So that's a very meaningful speech that he was addressing once and for all that racial question and the racial discrimination and the acts permitted therein. So he came once again as the defender of his children in the West to lead the moral code of highness. And he said at the end of that speech that we are confident, we Africans are confident, and we will fight if necessary. And we are confident in the victory of good over evil. So I think this speech and the timing of this speech was very crucial and very pivotal to our foundation and moving together in our nationhood as to be accepted to sit at the table of nations in supreme sovereignty. Yes, I chair. Sila.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The real truth of racial equality, recognizing the sovereignty in all people, in all races. We lived in a society of colonial-minded system that did not recognize or does not still today in many aspects the sovereign right of Black peoples of the world. Many still carry the mindset of perpetual servitude, slavery, as was deemed under the Papa Bull. So this mindset is also the mindset of war. It's not just racism that's embodied in a system and so forth, but it even reaches further in the greed aspects of entitlement. One position of entitlement, entitled over another race, entitled over this. The entitlements that are exclusive without in this racial paradigm that was created is destructive. But now, when this type of force is being used against, we hear many times the statement of love will conquer all. Now, what you have to understand in that aspect is the first love is your love of your people and yourself. And so in your enemy's strategic plan, they destroyed that love. They destroyed that love. But today we have many people believing that to prove that they are beings of love, they have to say, I don't see race. And So it's almost a simulated program that's been embedded where the enslaved and colonized are in a parallel where at the point of spirituality and God, they have to prove that they love everyone and they ain't biased towards their own people, meaning they don't have a greater love for their people than they have for others. We get caught in trying to prove to other people that we can love them, when the problems of the world was never that we didn't love no one. The problems of the world was never that we didn't bring them in and take them to our schools and teach everyone. The problems of the world wasn't that we didn't know where they came from or none of that. We had an understanding of that. But the problems of the world was when someone started to define from that point and wage war and use it as a directive against the blood thing. And one of the first components was to teach the people to hate themselves and not to love themselves. And so a lot of times our consciousness now is on a point to prove that we are the loving beings. But that's never was our problem. Our thing now is the internal love, the love that has to mend the bridges and build with their people for the healing. Because, you know, a lot of times it's easier to get along with other people who appear to have a dominance and entitled position than it is to get along with your own people who have all been traumatized, hurt, broken in so many different ways. So then the reasoning and the trying to develop unity and build with is difficult. And it's hard. And everywhere people are creating nonprofit organizations and we're trying and they're doing this and we're doing that. But then we still find ourselves divided. And then we still come back to the question, how can we do this in an equitable way based on all of the many changes we've all went through? And there is an outline. Like, when we come to that component, you start to look at what will achieve the goals in the agenda. Well, first of all, EWF is not religious bias or against religion. It actually encourages you to go into your cultural heritage, to embody yourself into the church and into your faith. But there is no division, and when we say solidarity and governing ourselves, there is a blueprint that allows us to come from many different backgrounds, many different ways, like Caribbean, American, Europe, Haiti, Barbados, you name it. All the different cultural ways, and there is a foundation that would allow each area to set up its governance and reestablish its sovereignty under the empire of Ethiopia. Now, we've been going for months at teaching certain aspects, which we're going to get back to when we get back to the Basilius. We're going to go back to the history. We're going to go back to where do white people come from? We're going to go back to that so we can understand this aspect. And then we start to observe that when we're speaking in these contexts, it's not a racial battle. It's a battle of truth. And understanding the positions for power to bring the equitable change that the people are asking for, that our people need, other than random aspects of, and I say random, meaning because there's many aspects right now of, if you say, religious beliefs or so forth. But when you're talking about a structural form to bring a position of power, that can impact the change that the Hebrews talking about, the Moors talking about, everyone is talking about. So when we talk about how could that be formulated, it has been. His Majesty has formulated it, but not only, let's say, His Majesty, but His Majesty has recognized the envision that was rising in the output of what was being formulated as EWF. And He ordained it, placing it in an order, and issued a charter for it. Now, there's an empowerment there. There's a serious empowerment there that when we go through Black August, from Malcolm to Martin Luther King to Marcus Garvey, His Majesty has a component that's there in every aspect there. But somehow in the Black movement, a separation came where His Majesty became Jamaica's Rastafari religion, but the Pan-African Black movement was something else. But when we play back the history, the Pan-African movement, you know, even if we say Martin Delany and go all the way back, we got George Lally, we got all the way back to the Sharpton, going all the way in to Marcus Garvey and so forth. And Ethiopia was the outcry during those times. And when we get further into, let's say, Black Panther, let's say the move and all of these aspects, these are wise and intelligent brothers and sisters, but yet they had no knowledge of a 2/3 Senate vote in agreement with a treaty that ratified it as a self-executing treaty power, and that His Majesty had issued a charter. So let's say if the move had the charter of the EWF, what would have they still attacked? Maybe they still would attack, but would there have been power to protect on the next levels from prison and so forth? Yes. So when we look at our brothers, the Moors, and they come on the scene and they trying to push brothers to learn everything from the UCC to international law, that's a blessing. EWF ain't against that, because the Moors could have their own local. And more brothers, if they get an understanding of the basis of international law, that's why we always read the Montevideo Convention. They get an understanding of it, then they themselves will be able to knowledge they themselves would be able to knowledge what His Majesty's gift is to us. See, so when we say the good news, that's what we're talking about. Trying to get the consciousness of the movement to realize that they have a high deck hand. But somehow they've been playing as though they been dealt a low deck hand. And this is just the cards that was dealt, as people would say. But you're missing some of your cards. You're missing some of your cards. You got an ace, king, and queen. See, and that's the basis of what we have to educate people. See, we're getting lost. That's why I always like when our chaplain goes through it, because he going back to in Chicago, the Chicago riots, and bringing it forward as well, because that's when the mindset knew to say Ethiopian. It's not that Rastafari is not what we should say. No, in praise of His Majesty, good job. But when we're teaching and educating the people to move in the capacity of a sovereign people, we're teaching them as Ethiopians. So in the EWF Constitution, it says, we the black peoples. So some people say, well, black has no standing in law. We have a constitution that says, we the black peoples of the world. And as it continues, black peoples is associated to mean Ethiopians. So who are we going to let define our reality? Webster? No. The definition has been codexed into a defining codex by an empire, making it a juridical administrative definition. So it has a standing in law. It's been chartered as representing Ethiopia. The definition in which the European tells, it's over and done. So many people like to play that, I ain't black, that's the, well, then we go back to our component where we have to always teach people, is that if you deal with UCC, let's do this first. Let's go to this definition first. We're not gonna go too far. We're waiting on our international chaplain to join us. Okay, he has joined us. And he has a wonderful book that he has developed on the EWF's Constitution. And we want to do some constitutional discussions tonight, because the EWF Constitution is very powerful. But I want to do a terminology here to show everyone. Let me make sure I turn this on. What time is my screen phone? Okay. All right. The terminology when you go into UCC, you learn about you filing your UCC-1 and you're trying to reclaim your straw man, because you're saying that somebody has put you like they have a lien over you. So you're placing your lien to be the highest lien holder back over your straw man. So people do the UCC-1 and they file it in the same court system that they're trying to break from. And they say, okay, well, I got that done, you did this done. Then everyone come in and say, well, how are they still operating? They still have authority. I did my UCC-1. So how are they still able to do this? Everybody comes back because, I mean, you got attorneys in them that have learned, they did UCC1, they learned to use the 1099, they paid millions and millions of dollars of stuff off using the system, but then they get locked up, and all of the stuff that they was doing, it can't remove, it don't work out. And so then they say, well, how are they still operating over me as though I am this? Well, because everyone tells you that everything is commercial, everything is commerce. So how does this commerce start? So we play back to how does the commerce start? Is that the Pope issues the Papa Bull doctrine. And the doctrine is declaring that the Pope, under the primacy of Peter, and we'll show that first. So we're going to go back between these two screens. Don't worry. The primacy of Peter refers to the belief primarily held within the Roman Catholic Church that the Apostle Peter was given a position of unique authority among the apostles by Jesus Christ, and that this authority has been passed down to his successors, the bishops of Rome, who are the popes. This belief is often referred to as the Petrine theory, but it's the primacy of Peter is where the Pope claims that he is the highest authority of God, and that under this authority, he is able to claim that he is the holder in due course of all our lives. And so he's able to put a lien on everyone. And so everyone, and then he's able to delegate authority to other parties based on his claim to then go out and place us in the status of commerce. Because the lien holders are the colonizers, the enslavers. So they go out with the authority from the Pope to go deal with his commerce. And then they have to pay back taxes. They have to put the papers on the chattel that's being moved around because we became the chattel. So we fall into a commerce state. And that's why we say when you're filing your UCC1, you're still in their dockets, because you're filing within their courts. And so that means you're still in their currency, in their waters. So they could still hold that you're lost at sea, but you're in their waters. But their see, the Holy See, goes back to the Holy See, the Pope. Even today, under the McIntosh case, the United States still holds that the Papa Bull is their delegation of authority. So under this, the Pope has issued the power of a lien and commercial authority over our lives. We became property. But now people are filing the UCC1, but you're only contesting the first party, the second lien holder, which is the colonizer or the enslaver. But the first lien holder is the Pope. So you have to prove that he's not the holder in due course, but you have to have a higher claim than the Pope. So when you measure out on earth, because it takes an equal force or a greater force to overcome a force. Me or you don't really have the claim to contest the Pope because we lost the sea. We don't have our title. We don't have our nothing. But here, you could say mystically, in Africa, preserved is a Christian empire, as they would say. And here is a title that is higher than the Pope's claim. Now, His Majesty has the highest claim.
Let's see if you can hear me. I think your mic went off. One moment. All right, yes, sir. He'll be back up in a moment. Once again, welcome in, welcome in. Getting some good information tonight, good information. And we have the honor of having our international chaplain here with us this evening, Prophet Elijah. Looking forward to getting that reasoning pretty soon. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give thanks. We'll be in 1 moment.
Give thanks, Honorable Chair, Honorable President, give thanks.
To the chair.
Yes, sir, chaplain.
Yes, sir. Negusa Salam, I just wanted to return to the question about the speech that our foreign minister started with, His Majesty's speech to the League on October 3rd, 1936, and the significance of it being a defense for the human rights for that same year, September 11th, 1963, in Birmingham, Alabama. That was the first day that little black children went to the segregated white schools to start the desegregation of the schools in America, which came to be the standard worldwide as we know today. On the date of the Ethiopian New Year. So our new cycle began in our Ethiopian heritage on the Ethiopian New Year, September 11th. And the forces that our foreign minister is talking about, the powers and the sovereignty. For I and I had been redeemed through our Ethiopian sovereignty and through commerce. For Menelik II did establish the first economic treaty with America and commerce as we know it in our time. And this in 1903. And the Regent Planetary Rastafari McConnell sent his ambassadors here to America in 1919 to renew that treaty. And under that treaty, it gave rights to those who paid allegiance to the Ethiopian throne. So, in defiance of the September 11th integration on the Ethiopian New Year, ushering in a new cycle for the Black peoples of the world, the racists in Birmingham, Alabama, 4 days later, they bombed the church, 16th Street Baptist Church, on September the 15th, while the little girls was in Sunday school. They put some dynamite on the walls there and blew the church up. That part where the little children was having Sunday school at, and the bomb blast unalive 4 little black girls on September the 15th, 4 days after the Ethiopian New Year integration. So His Majesty returned to America to give his speech on October the 3rd in response.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My
And he
internet.
gave the response for that speech. He gave the response for that act of blowing up the church for the 16th Street Baptist Church. But the speech that our foreign minister played was also honorary speech, honoring also why His Majesty picked that day, October the 3rd, also, for that is the day that the Mussolini army, blessed by Pope Pius XI, started invading Ethiopia, October the 3rd, 1936. So His Majesty addressed the League on October 3rd, 1963, after the September 15th bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, but also as a memorial day when they came against Zion to try to stop our sovereignty. And he told us that he was our last hope. So that speech that our foreign minister played is very significant and is one of the Pan-African landmarks of our time. Give thanks, Selah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So when we look at what's been going on, there's been a missing key element. Yeah, we've been coming to certain knowledge with the UCCs and international law, but everything that we're basing it on is based on the fight that the emperor liberated and his victory against Italy sealed and opened these gateways. It wouldn't be our discussions if Ethiopia had failed. So when people talk about what did His Majesty do, what did Ethiopia do, you're living in it. You're living in it. So a lot of times we get so religious that then there's the component of trying to prove His Majesty is Jesus. And then with that, now you try to prove that His Majesty coming back. And you ignore everything He did. And so in the religious construct, you lose the directive and the guidance of His Majesty because now you have to prove it on the element of a Jesus. And so then people start, overlooking, as the discussion was, not even overlooking. I was dealing with White Rasta on Facebook, and he said EWF and the Black Talk, that's not His Majesty because he's for all people. And I said, so you, because you want to make His Majesty religious, your religion, you're going to ignore all the living works He did. So He didn't do no living works for the liberation of Black people. And if you say liberation for Black people because you want to say Rastafari is for all people, then you say, well, that ain't what His Majesty was about. And then it becomes confusing because now it wonders
Yeah, please apologize for the we apologize for the technical problems. There's a storm in the area, so it's pretty rough with the thunder and the lightning. So I think it's messing with the signal and stuff, interrupting it. But we'll be back up in one moment. Yeah, it's gonna wait a few minutes for the minister to come back up. Yeah, the weather is pretty intense over here with the lightning and such. We also know that North Carolina just had some recent flash flooding, so everybody keep safe out there. Some areas they could quickly get flash flooding in the area and not have too much warning. So, be mindful when you're on the road, you see any water issues or whatnot, check your local weather, check your weather before you go out. If it's late at night and you gotta travel far, make sure you check your weather. Something there may be all kind of problems on the roads. But just be mindful of that. The good thing about this type of weather is that if this weather, pans out for the rest of the summer, that will make it easier for us to have a hurricane season because all the pressure of the hurricane buildup will not be coming out at one time. So if we keep this moving, we'll have a nice smooth end of hurricane season this strong. Not as strong, but this year. So trying to get our energy going in that direction. But yes, I give thanks. While we wait, Chop in, I'm design. If you wanna chop in a little bit of reasoning at the moment. That's what the I was speaking on with His Majesty.
Musa Salam. Yes, as our foreign minister, Ras Lazarus, was speaking on the sovereignty battle in the Papal Bull doctrine of discovery and the holder of our commercial sovereignty. This is the war. This is what it's about, the power. That's why when His Majesty sent the 4 ambassadors to America in 1919 to renew the Friendship and Amity Treaty, it's so profound because our freedom and our solidarity and self-determination is based upon a nation being able to have commerce and support its own aims and objectives, have to be able to clothe oneself, feed oneself, shelter oneself, defend oneself, bring oneself posterity into existence. So the first Ethiopians to come to America for commerce in our time, that is on record, was in 1803 when the Ethiopian ship docked at the New York harbors, coming to do trade with the new place called New Amsterdam, as it was known in that time. And they onboarded their vessel as free black men in 1803. And they ran into some other black men who was free in that time. And they wanted to go to church. So they had the big church, which was under the colonist church. So they got together to go to that church. But before they could enter that church, the colonialists, the American colonialists told them, no, you have to enter to another door. And you can't sit in the pew with these American colonialists. You have to sit in another area. So
Yeah.
upon hearing this, the Ethiopians was abhorred to hear that these American colonialists deferred them to another section to praise Jesus Christos, Emmanuel, when Ethiopia is the foundation of that. So these Ethiopians and these free black men during the time in 1803 in New Amsterdam, New York, those Ethiopians led the first protests against human discrimination on these shores of America. And they went back to Ethiopia and they let the emperor them know at the time what these people was doing over here. And that got word to Empress Tedros II. And my brethren, Foreign Minister Ross Lazarus, he has more of the insight about this commerce and this sovereignty. So everything is always built upon the commerce and the sovereignty. We have to know it's hand in hand. So when you bring commerce to the problem now, to the equation, now that brings it from merely a religious doctrine or religion. This more is a liberty and reality now of a people meeting out their way through their solidarity and their self-determination. Give thanks, Chair. Sila.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, well, let me move fast before the connection might drop again. What we have when we started our discussion last week was if an emperor issues a charter to a group of people and the constitution to govern themselves, and these people are these people a government under the empire. In this scenario, the group of people are part of the empire, but they are allowed a degree of self-governance. As we have been discussing, this is the EWF. The EWF has been issued a charter, and we have our constitution issued and ordained. So this is a different degree of Black movement for sovereignty, for freedom and liberation. This is a part of the movement that has been forgotten. And we are hoping with this Black August that we will be able to bring the minds in accordance as oneness to see the power that His Majesty has issued to us through a chartered government, international governmental organization, as well as our Constitution, thereby giving us the status of a nation and a government. So a charter is a legal document issued by the emperor that grants the group certain rights, privileges, and powers, essentially establishing their existence and the framework of their relationship with the empire. Now, second document, just going fast because we have our international chaplain who is going to do a demonstration for us, and I'm trying to get him on now. Sorry for the untimely disconnections. But when you think about a charter being issued by the emperor, it's bringing you out of the dockets, out of the waters of your enslaver. It's bringing you into a different docks. Now, the entity registration we've went through based on treaty and juridical. So we've dealt with those, the naysay of, oh, it's incorporated in the United States. So we've dealt with how the Treaty of Ethiopia is worded in the protection of the sovereignty still embodied in even some companies that are incorporated here in the United States still fall under that diplomatical protection. And we say with this charter, we ask you to think of it like the colonial charters granted by the British Crown to the colonies in America. These charters provided a basis for colonial government and self governance, but it did not make the colonies independent nations. They were still under the ultimate authority of the British Crown. They were still under the ultimate authority, under the British Crown, under the ultimate authority of the Papal Bull, the doctrine of discovery, which all of them were using as their delegation of authority. So, to counter that delegation of authority, a higher authority has been issued by the King of Kings, and a constitution which will help us govern ourselves through a healing process, through the indifferences that we have developed, through the cultural differences, through the alienation, through mental trauma that made us be unable to love each other, love ourselves. There is a process in us being able to come together and start this without the indifferences governing us, but a foundation where indifferences are not governing us, but a ma'at, a balance, a diplomatical process that teaches us to rule ourselves in an equitable fashion. So with that, I ask Prophet Elijah, Chaplain, International Chaplain, Prophet Elijah, to come forth. Um, and it is our honor to have you on with us. Sorry for the delay. I believe you do have screen sharing components. Prophet Elijah is introducing a book pamphlet, study pamphlet that he's put together. It is a powerful way. And if you want to have a good vision of our Constitution, this is one of the best outlooks I've seen. Give thanks. Yes, sir.
To the chair.
Yes, sir. Floor is open.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Russ Lazarus, International Second Vice President. Thank you for the invite and the opportunity. And also to the members of Local 49, we do give thanks for allowing me the opportunity to fellowship with your local today and share a little bit of the book. I don't have the screen share, so I'm gonna just turn on my video, my camera. That way I can, from time to time, show, display the book. But as Russ Lazarus said, this is a small book. The book in total is 30, maybe 33 pages. Let me see. About 32 pages. So this is the cover. Title of the book, 23 Commandments, Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, the 23 Commandments, a constitutional study tool of the Article 1A, Article 1, Section 2, A through H. So what we mean by a constitutional study tool, it's designed to be a companion to our Constitution. And as the Minister of Foreign Affairs was reasoning about the significance of a constitution and having one and being given one by a sovereign, it does put us in a different state of existence. Now, many our aims and our objects of our Constitution, we have called this book the 23 Commandments. And we know 23, the number has a lot of significance to I and I, July 23rd, but also the 23 chromosomes of, you need 23 and 23 chromosomes to make a complete individual. As this book is designed, we have 23 aims and we have 23 objects. So it is called the 23 commandments. Without the objects, the aims are empty. So the aims are masculine and the objects are female or feminine. And like we said, without the objects, the aims are empty. So a lot of the words in our Constitution, like we know the first aim to promote love and to promote love and goodwill among Ethiopians at home and abroad. We use the word promote and we use the word love and goodwill so commonly, the true significance of what these words mean, and that this is actually required of us, that this is mandated of us, and these are the foundation principles of our organization, is not really taken into great consideration by all of our members. So we're going to start in the middle of our book. We have, like, from page 13, we have, you can see the sign of the chromosome, right? Male and female, because as we said, the aims are male, masculine, and the objects are feminine. So we also have what are aims and what are objects. So aims, the first definition is a verb. Aim means to have the intention of achieving, to aspire, to intend. This word can also be used as a noun, and as a noun, it means the directing of effort towards a goal, a purpose, or intention, a desired outcome. It also means the ability to hit a target and a weapon's accuracy. It also means the broad, long-term, and general purpose of a project or event. So that's an aim. And as we said, it used the analogy of a weapon's accuracy, right? The ability to hit a target. So now we can see that our objects are targets, right? So we have aims and objects. So now the objects is a word that is a noun. And an object means something mental or physical toward which thought, feeling, or action is directed. It also means the goal or end of an effort or activity, purpose or objective. It also means an action and what to accomplish, focused, measurable, and short-term goals. So these are aims and objects. And as we said, we have 23 commandments. So we are commanded 23 times and 23 times with our aims and our objects. So we just want to give an example for the first commandment. The book reads, and we go to our first commandment. Our first commandment says, promote. Okay, so promote is the first commandment. And what are we promoting? Love and goodwill. Okay, but the focus of this definition, because this is the aim section, the first part does the aims, and the last half does the objects. Okay, so, Brady, one moment. Okay, so it says now the first commandment is to promote. And what does promote mean? Promote is a verb. First definition of promote further the progress of something, especially a cause, a venture, or an aim. Support or actively encourage, advance or raise someone to a higher position or rank, right? So we see this is what promote means. Now, if we go to the back for the first commandment, for objects, the book is aligned with itself. So if we go to first commandment and the objects part, it will give us the second half of the commandment, and that would be to define love and goodwill. So when we go to the second half, which would be 1A, because it's two parts to that first commandment of the object. So the first part is love, and love is a noun, and it means unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another, such as the fatherly concern of Ixiobi here for humankind, brotherly and sisterly concern for others, a person's adoration for Ixiobi here, strong affection for another arising out of a kinship or personal ties, affection based on admiration, benevolence, or common interest, and assurance of affection. So these are all examples of the meaning of love. And as we see, the first commandment is to promote this. So in many areas, we fall short of the true significance of the word love, the very dimensions of the word love, and that we are commanded to promote it. So now also we have goodwill. Goodwill is a noun, and goodwill means a kindly feeling of approval and support, benevolent interest or concern, the favor or advantage that a business has acquired, especially through the brands and its good reputation. Also, cheerful consent and willing effort. So, the first commandment of the aims and the object is to promote love and goodwill. So, we have given an example of how promote, how the very dimensions of promote exist, and also for love and goodwill. I would just jump around a little bit. We'll go to, let's see, the third commandment. And the third commandment and the 23 commandments is to disseminate. And disseminate is a verb. And what are we disseminating? It says the ancient Ethiopian culture, right? So disseminate means to spread something, especially information, widely. It also means to broadcast or disperse. In medicine, it means to spread throughout an organ or the body. So we can see how all of those definitions are relative, as even the organization is referred to as an organ, and we collectively are identified as a body of members. So this third commandment is to disseminate. Now we go to the forward of the book and we look for the third commandment. And the third commandment, as we saw, it is to disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture. So now this third commandment, the second half has three parts because it's three words or three objects within this third commandment. The first is defined as ancient, the next Ethiopian, and the next is culture. So the book defines ancient as meaning ancient is an adjective and it means belonging to the very distant past and no longer in existence or use, having had an existence of many years or of relating to a remote period, to a time early in history, or to those living in such a period of time, period or time. So we see we're commanded to disseminate ancient, so something that's no longer in existence or in use. We're authorized to bring forward these ancient traditions. The ancient Ethiopian. So Ethiopian is defined as a noun, and it means a native or inhabitant of Ethiopia or a person of Ethiopian descent. A Black person, adjective, of or relating to the characteristics of the inhabitants of the country of Ethiopia, Ethiopia or its people. In zoology, Ethiopia relating to or denoting a biogeographic region comprising Africa, south of the Sahara, together with the southern Arabian Peninsula, and usually Madagascar and the adjacent islands. So Ethiopian is defined as such. So we are to disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture. Now, culture is defined as a noun. Culture means the customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. The set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterizes an institution or organization. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievements regarded collectively. The customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. As a verb, it means to maintain tissue, cell, bacteria, etc., in conditions suitable for growth, culture. And that example is like how people grow kombucha and different things like that as a coach starting from a culture. So culture has various, as we said, dimensions of its definition, how we can define that word culture. Again, that was the third commandment. So we are to disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture. So the book pretty much follows that pattern. We'll give an example of another commandment. We go to, and if we read our Constitution, we'll see that we're commanded to promote several times. So those several times are also covered at the time when we're given the commandment to promote something. The object is they're different objects. So we go to the 12th commandment, and the 12th commandment is to usher. And usher is a verb. And what are we usher? What do we usher? It says in the teachings and practice of the fatherhood of Ixia and the brotherhood of man. A verb, to proceed as an usher, forerunner, or harbinger, to cause to enter or introduce, be caused to mark the start of something new, cause or mark the start of something new, show or guide someone somewhere. As a noun, a person who shows people to their seats. An official or servant who has the care of the door of the court, hall, or chamber. An overseer, I pray thee, an officer who walks before a person of rank. An archaic usage of the word means an assistant teacher. So usher, and we usher in the teaching and the practice, the fatherhood of Ixiobi here and the brotherhood of man. So now we will go to our object part. In the object part, we will look for the 12th commandment. The 12th commandment will give us the 12th commandment half of the object. We have the first part being the aim, the next part being the object. So for the 12th commandment, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 parts within the 12th commandment. Now, the first part, it says, usher in the teaching. So what is teaching? Teaching is a noun, the occupation, profession, or work of a teacher, ideas or principles taught by an authority. It also, as a transitive verb, to cause to know something or to cause to know how, to get accustomed to some action or attitude, to guide the studies of or to impart the knowledge of, to instruct by precept, example, or experience, or to make known or accepted, to conduct instruction regularly in. Okay, so we usher in the teaching and the practice. So practice is a noun, the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method, as opposed to theories relating to it. The customary, habitual, or expected procedure or way of doing something. It also has a verb, it means to perform an activity or exercise a skill repeatedly or regularly to improve or maintain one's proficiency. Example, practice makes perfect. So we are to usher in the teaching and the practice of the fatherhood. Now, fatherhood is a noun. It means the state of being a father. Father, noun, a man in relation to his child or children. A male parent, one that originates or institutes, often used as a title or form of address. As a verb of a man, cause of a pregnancy resulting in the birth of a child. So this is fatherhood, right? So usher in the teaching and the practice of the fatherhood of God. So in our Constitution, it says God, and this 23 commandments, we have used the word Ixiobi here. So now to usher in the teaching and the practice of the fatherhood of Ixiobi here. Now for Ixiobi here, because that word was used prior, the book says refer to 6G for the definition of Ixiobi here. Now, Ixiobi here is a noun, and it means the owner, ruler, or ruling power, the presiding and predominant influence, the sovereign authority, the good master and father over the skies, lands, and seas. And that's the definition for Ixiobi here. So it says to usher in the teaching and the practice of the fatherhood of Ixiobi here, and the brotherhood, right? So what is a brotherhood? Brotherhood is a noun, the relationship between brothers, an association, society, or community of people linked by by common interests, religion, or trade. The whole body of persons engaged in a business or profession. The members of a particular organization, friendship and loyalty, a feeling of shared interests and support among men, or more generally among all humans. So, ushering the teaching and the practice of the brotherhood, the fatherhood of Ixia here, and the brotherhood of man. So, man is the next part of this 12th commandment, and man is a noun, an individual human, especially an adult male, the human race or humankind together as a verb of personnel, work at, run, or operate a place or piece of equipment. Again, as a verb, man means of personnel to work at, to run, or operate a place or piece of equipment, or defend a defend a fortification. Example, man the ship. So man the ship is an example of how the word man is used as a verb versus the noun. So we talk about the different dimensions of the word significance, the words that are used in our aims and objects. And as we said, this book is designed to be a constitutional study tool. So it would enhance our memory of the aims and of the objects. That is what the intention for the design of this book, how it arose. So we give thanks, members. We just share a little brief piece of it. Again, this is 23 Commandments. It's a small constitutional study tool. The book starts and opens with a speech by His Imperial Majesty. I'll read those words. His Majesty says that loyalty inspires understanding, and understanding cooperation. These are the clearest evidence of strength, but the solid basis for all lies in education. It is education which allows people to live together and makes them avoid the pitfalls of immorality and induces respect for the law. Truly, the attainment of these high aims is based on the education, the helping of people to live together, to avoid indulgence, immorality, and lawlessness. His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, Sio Mexiabihir Negus Negas, Ethiopia Moambes Zemnegada, Aihud, Kadamawi, Daharawi, Haile Selassie, Ziabihir Taganyo. Thank you, honorable members of local number 49, all members present on the line. Royal salute, Federation Rising. This was a brief presentation on the 23 commandments. Sila, Sila, Sila.
Yeah,
Any questions? Any comments?
I know you were doing a brief demonstration, but I was wondering, is there a way you could read like all the 23 commandments? Or do you have to without the definition for each, or is it a way you can do that? Does that flow?
Yes, I can do that for you. I can read example how I won't read the definitions, but I'll read what each of the commandment is.
If you want to read the definition, we're open because we're here to learn. So
okay, yeah. Just for the sake of time, I didn't allot that much time to go through all of them, but we'll see. As we see, this is also part of the book. These are tables of stone, the concept of the Ten Commandments and the two tables of stone. So we have one being the aims and one being the objects. 23 and 23. As we said, as the chromosomes to make a complete person. So to make the complete federation, we need the man and the woman, and we need the fulfillment of the aims and the objects. So the first commandment is to promote, second commandment to maintain, third commandment to disseminate, the fourth commandment is to correct, fifth commandment is to relieve, sixth commandment is to carve, seventh commandment is to save, eighth commandment is to carve again, the ninth commandment is to determine, the 10th commandment is to promote, the 11th commandment is to pursue, 12th commandment is to usher, 13th commandment to promote, 14th commandment to stimulate, 15th commandment to cultivate, 16th commandment promote again, 17th commandment to develop, 18th commandment inculcate, 19th commandment to render, 20th commandment provide and care, 21st commandment to give, 22nd commandment encourage, and the 23rd commandment to promote. So as going through them, I know you can pick up as we said, the first commandment to promote. So when you think about promote, you automatically connect love and goodwill. So the first commandment, fully promote love and goodwill. Second commandment, maintain integrity and sovereignty. Third commandment, disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture. Fourth commandment, to correct abuses. Fifth commandment, to relieve oppression. Sixth commandment, carve for ourselves and our posterity a destiny comparable. Seventh commandment is to save ourselves from annihilation. Eighth commandment is to carve again for ourselves a place in the sun. The ninth commandment is to determine to seek peace. The 10th commandment is to promote again happiness. The 11th commandment is to pursue happiness. The 12th commandment is to usher in the teaching and the practices of the fatherhood of Ixiobi here and the brotherhood of man. 13th commandment is to promote again, this time interest in world affairs. The 14th commandment is to stimulate interest in world affairs. The 15th commandment is to cultivate a spirit of international goodwill and comity. The 16th commandment is to promote friendly interests. The 17th commandment is to develop a fraternal spirit among them. 18th commandment is to inculcate a desire to render voluntary aid. 19th commandment is to render voluntary aid and protection. The 20th commandment is to provide and care for refugees and disabled victims. 21st commandment is to give concrete materials and voluntary aid. 22nd commandment is to encourage, to develop interest and pride. 23 is to promote democratic principles and ideals. So that would be the 23 aims and the 23 objects that completes the 23 commandments. As we said, it's designed as male and female. the aims being masculine and the objects being feminine, but this is the fullness. So we are commanded to promote several times, but as we see the height of what promote means, and then the significance of what we are to promote, love and goodwill, gives us a greater understanding of what's expected of us, how our conduct is important, how our intention toward each other is very important. And that's what the organization is founded on, so we can master our aims and our objects, then our progress is assured. Working together in this manner, there will be no failure. So we give thanks, honorable members, and that's the 23 commandments. It's a small book. It is as we said, meant design wise to accompany with the small constitution in mind, the pocket size. So it's a book that you could hold in your pocket, keep with you, and just as we said, be more adept. I mean, as we say it, more promote. It's also a memory tool. So when promote automatically is love and goodwill, they're gonna be associated naturally, right? So we give thanks, honorable members. Hope that presentation gave a little bit more insight to the book. We're gonna do have to work out some things with the print, so it's not so difficult for people that might have vision difficulty to see it. So that's the only thing. Because of the size, we want to make it also something that is not too difficult where people don't have to strain. So we want to enhance the font, the definition of it, so that it has a greater legibility for those that might be challenged with their vision. So give thanks, honorable members of local number 49. Again, thank you for having me. And that was the 23 commandments. So back to you, honorable chair, and we welcome any questions or any comments pertaining to the book. Thank you, Ross Lazarus. Thank you, honorable president, local number 49, honorable chaplain, and all members of local number 49. Give thanks, and all guests of local number 49. Give thanks.
Yes,
Salam
sir.
alaikum. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Musa salam.
Any questions? Floor is open. Floor is open. Any questions? Floor is open.
Yes, I give thanks. Just, I don't know if I missed it. I know you said you had some printing things going on, but I was just wanting to know if there was already, we were able to get copies, maybe through the mail or somehow, or if it's just the beginning phases. I think I might have missed that aspect. Give thanks.
I give thanks, beloved. Yes, I do have some copies that are available. The print issues that we want to work out is just to make it have a greater. There are some faded parts, like for example, when we look at the first commandment for promote, the love and goodwill is kind of a shaded font. So you kind of have to strain if you don't have good light or strong eyes. So we want to enhance that part because that wasn't taken into consideration when the size was reduced. So it was noticed later, but we do have copies that are available, and that is the only issue with them. So if there are no vision challenges, then these copies are still perfect. And we do have them available, and we can get them to the members through the mail.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely gonna
Give
make
thanks. Give thanks.
Yes,
floor,
sir.
floor is open. Rosdan, you finished, or you had?
Oh, yes, sir. We'll set it up. I know, like I said, I could either get with you or the president, and we could set it up. 'Cause I would like to get a copy. You know, I don't have no vision challenges of any sort, so I would like to have a copy because it's a very powerful tool to understand one's institution. So yes, sir, I give thanks. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Give thanks, beloved. Give
Anyone?
Chair.
Yes, sir. Come forward.
Yes, I Nugusa Salam, like you move. Yes, I give thanks, International Honorable Chaplain. I had put in an order for our local already to be able to get some a number of them from him. But however, lately he was sent me the message about the printing, what he just described, and I wasn't really sure about what he was explaining about that. So that's why the order we didn't finish the order. But now since he explained it, so if the item want to put forward a strength toward that, getting out of them for the local, that'll be a good strength. Because I think I had ordered 10, or how many did I have on the order, International Chaplain?
Yes, Honorable Chaplain, local number 49. It was 10.
And then 10 the next time, start with 10, and then 10 the next time, and 10 the next time. Because the original order was 25, but however, they are $10 a piece. Did the ice there?
Yes, Chaplain. Yes.
Yeah, it was $10 a piece. So I put the order down to be 10 of them. So that's right at 100. I mean, yeah, $100. So if we as a local the members can put forward together, and we can get the order to go on through, I think that'll be a very constructive thing for us to do together as our local. And maybe we can get more than that with everyone forward, so we can get, because originally I wanted to get 25 for the local. So we can put this through the membership of our local again and see on our next meeting, and put forward who has any funds to put forward for that. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 23 commandments. It's powerful. And I love how the masculine, feminine, and the 23 and 23 makes up the body. You know, that's insight. That's divine vision. That's looking into the dimensions of the words that are before us and seeing the full story of it. You know, how do you give life to how do you turn an organ into a body, a collective body, a body of unity? You know, it's an organ in the first stage, and then it becomes a full body. So, you know, this is very insightful, and the vision that you came across to put it in that format, that's a download. You know, that's what people look for. They look for those downloads. So yes, I give thanks, Chaplain, for powerful words. Give thanks. And we would definitely work on the order. And again, a constitution. You know, the Moors don't have a constitution. They weren't issued a constitution by a head of state. The Nation of Islam wasn't issued a constitution by a head of state. No one is a possessor of a constitution that was ordained. No one is the possessor of a charter. So when we talk about, you know, what makes sense for our unity to bring the power structure to to create the impact change that's needed, it's the EWF. And I am registered with the Moors in the 90s. I've been registered with the Moors in the 90s, the UNIA. We've done it all. We've did the knowledge, the breakdowns, the studies and everything. And we come back to the EWF, which has that package for change. And then when we study back further, we see that His Majesty is the seed that even created the other minor institutions of change. But we all have that same objective. So with that, the weather is bad. We're not going to be long tonight. So we're going to show one video and we're going to open the floor for discussion on this video, because this is the solidarity and the mindset that we need. We need a solidarity and a mindset. And that is the key. That's what we're talking about. We need a solidarity and a mindset. And so, powerful video. Listen to it. It's an indigenous brother speaking from the sovereign point, from this mindset. Here we go.
Kwekwe, Sago, from the Wolf Clan, to all my relations, to the clans, villages, and communities across Turtle Island. I am Lala Guizele, Acting Prime Minister of the Ilakwa Ne Ganyage government, the Iroquois, keepers of the Eastern Door. It is with deep respect for our ancestors and with great vision for our future that we address you today under the auspices of the Guyana Lagoa Great Law of Peace. We invite you all to join us in a new chapter of unity, sovereignty, and shared prosperity. We are the sovereign Ilakwa Ne Kanyage peoples. We are not under the U.S. or Canadian jurisdiction. We are our own sovereign, independent nation. Our first recognition was in 1710 from Queen Anne of England and Peter the Great of Russia as the original keepers and defenders of North America, Turtle Island. We have always maintained our sovereign territory and has never received monies or ceded to the U.S. or Canadian governments, including any form of contracts or agreement. We are the original authors of the U.S. Constitution as it is based on our structure of governance that has been well established for over a millennia. To this point, our most recent recognition of independence and sovereignty is from the U.S. 100th Congress in 1987, acknowledging our contributions in creating the United States Constitution. The amendment recognizes our independence and sovereignty of a self-governing nation from one government to another government. The Iroquois are the first original peoples with self-governing ability to issue our own passports as a reflection of our sovereign status. This stems from several key factors. One, the Iroquois are recognized as sovereign entities with the freedoms and liberties to govern ourselves. Number two, sovereignty allows us to create our own laws and regulations, including those regarding citizenship, adoption, and travel documentation, just like any other independent sovereign nation. As a sovereign independent people, we offer this clarification to affirm the scope of authority and delineate our sovereign standing locally, nationally, and internationally. We acknowledge the recent joint release from the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe SRMP and the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne MCA, both which serve limited roles within their foreign funded government agencies. These government agencies have been put in place to attempt to assimilate us, a sovereign people that do not recognize them anything but a 501c3 non-profit organization or an NGO non-governmental organization. For further clarification, the U.S. government is dismantling and defunding the Bureau of Indian Affairs Department, including the SRMP. We continue to maintain and govern our ancestral territory. The Ilakwa Ne Kenyage government gives the people a platform for international based diplomacy, asserting our freedoms and liberties under the international laws and indigenous nationhood. The joint release by SRMT and MCA pertains to colonial micro concerns. However, that release does not and cannot speak for the Iroquois in international forums or on any matters of sovereign authority. We are proud to have built the world's first Bank of Indigenous International Settlements, BIIS, for contents in finance, not politics, not land. With this at our core, we will foster financial stability and self-sufficiency, ensuring our communities can thrive without relying on external systems that do not have our best interests at heart. We have created a global platform where we can now trade government to government directly and cut out the corporations that have taken advantage of the indigenous people for far too long. By forming a united economic bloc, we can create new pathways for local businesses to grow, create jobs in our communities, and keep wealth circulating amongst our peoples. We invite all nations to join us in mutual recognition of sovereignty for international trade and commerce. We remain open to respectful, treaty based dialogue and collaboration with all governments that respect our self governance as we continue to adopt and issue any form of licensing under our jurisdiction, such as crypto, blockchain technology, banking, finance, cannabis, casinos, sustainable energies, education, health, and free enterprise, but not limited to just our people. We affirm three basic truths. One, trade is sovereignty, because when we control our own markets, we control our future. Two, commerce is power, because a strong economy means a strong community. Three, governance is strength, because unity across nations give us the weight we always deserved. We are organized. We are recognized. We are the people. Nyawa, thank you.
We are organized. We are the people. We have a power of sovereignty that was given to us. That is the world's cry right now. We can do trade across borders because we are one entity. It will be within our own commerce. We don't overstand the power that has been ordained to us through the WF. So I wanted to play that so that you can hear the mindset that you must think with as you think EWF. Liberation, empowerment, self-determination. That is the spirit, that is the intellect, that is the vision that we're calling forth at this time. 49 angels rallying around the call to bring forth those visionaries, those thoughts, those spirits, those souls who embody that call at this time. Does anyone have a question or anything they want to say after listening to the chief speak? Oh, floor is open. No one? Did anyone feel anything from the words? Did it inspire? Did it give you a perspective? Do you wonder, are we standing on that perspective? Um, Anyone?
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
Gusa salam. Like yes, I. Well, the chief mentioned that trade is sovereignty. Commerce is sovereignty. For to be able to stand in sovereignty, you must be able to feed oneself, clothe oneself, shelter oneself, and educate one's people on the stability of their own existence. So that is crucial. And we see in the chess moves of the king, he first established trade and commerce and opened up the gate for us to be invited in and protected under his banner to commence in trade and commerce. In the renewal in 1919 of the Friendship and Economic Amity and Friendship Treaty signed by Menelik II and America after the Battle of Ottawa. And the treaty, the two high contracting parties of the treaty being Ethiopia and America, says that the citizens of Ethiopia could come to America and transact business as long as they adhere to the laws of the land. They should have protection of the state. Likewise, American citizens can go to Ethiopia and open and transact business as long as they adheres to the law of the land under the crown. It shall be protected by the crown. So here is the first foundation of our defense and redemption and restoration, and salvation lies therein, commerce, which invoked our elder during that time, Prophet Grover Redden, out of Chicago who took notice through the prophecy in Zephaniah that said, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my supplements, he shall send messengers in bullish boats. And so we see that as a prophecy that was fulfilled, and he came forward with the word and name Rastafari, as we have to become citizens of Rastafari's government to overcome Jim Crow isms and second-class citizens of America. Because during that time, the black people in America didn't have these rights that was being enforced in 1919. So that established our existence and the revolutionary movement that we know today as Rastafari. But the thing about it is that foundation was founded on becoming a citizen and protected under the throne lawfully, not just through religious belief, but lawfully under the throne of Regent Rastafari. And Brother Grover Redding had a program of 44 positions that they were training for us to take our part in our nation and help building the Ethiopia of the future, which we see as Ethiopia of the day. So for the chief to mention trade and commerce as the foundation of sovereignty, I see it as very profound. And in the game of chess, that was one of the first moves that His Majesty made with I per treaty, and still stuck with that same astute statesmanship in the establishment of the new treaty of Ethiopian amity between Ethiopia and America in 1951 and ratified in 1953. So the king stuck with that, just like the chief said. That's the reality of it. You know, you can't get around commerce, you know, and His Majesty had a speech that saying during that time that unless you can clothe, shelter, and feed these persons who will come to help you build the nation, when you sit at the table with them, you will not have their full attention, even though they may share the same sentiments that you have. But unless you can give them a program that to clothe them, shelter them, and feed them, and put them to employment, they can't give you their mind totally, because even though they sit at the table, in their mind, they still wondering how they're going to clothe themselves and their family, and do they have the money to pay their rent, and do they have the food to feed their families, and by which means will they gather these funds up. So that's what His Majesty said. Until we be able to do that, we won't have the full participation of the workers that's needed. So that goes forward again to commerce and trade as our foundation. Give thanks, Chair.
I think it's actually in the book of James, I believe, I'm not sure. Where actually the Bible tells you that, you know, when the people are hungry and the bills are due, they won't be able to hear the word. And so when we talk about EWF and the sovereignty component, it means that, listen, this is what we are supposed to be doing to make sure people get out of that state. So if we say, okay, yes, the indigenous, the black peoples of the world, we are spiritual beings. And we like to live in a society and an environment that honors the spirit and all. And we're used to living in. Well, we live under governments that keep us in an environment that's opposite of our nature. And unless we're free from these systems that create an environment that's opposite of our nature, we will forever be entangled in the process of them of keeping their world alive, keeping the ungodly system alive. But then here, His Majesty gives us a gift to govern ourselves, to carve out our place under the sun. See, these people have carved out their reality in which they say, and we say, this is non-conducive to our Matian nature, to the nature of balance, to our spiritual nature, to our beings of the sons and daughters of the sun, sons and daughters of the stars, sons and daughters of Ziglabir, sons and daughters of the Most High. So when we say all of this, then we say, okay, then we've got to say faith without works is dead. And so now what's the works? So His Majesty ordained the Constitution. That's an order. So you say, so what's our orders? The King of Kings came, the Lion of Judah came. What did he leave us? What's the orders? And we just heard. We have 23 commandments. To fulfill these 23 commandments, we will create the body, the environment, the government, the atmosphere that is conducive to our spiritual nature. And by that, we thank the King of Kings. By that, we honor the glory in which He embodied and brought forth our liberation and redemption to take forth in our sovereignty. And so when we go before nations and peoples and governments, we go before them as the chartered government of His Imperial Majesty for the diaspora, we, the Black peoples of the world. We go before them as representatives and keepers of a constitution that has been issued by the King of Kings. That's our power. This is what opens up our power to trade. How do we escape the regulations that are there to keep us unempowered? By stepping into our own dockets, moving in our own sovereign aspect, and not waiving it. Because I don't have the right to waive it. Because this is a gift that is extended to the generations after me and before me. So who am I to now take away that gift by saying we waive our sovereign position? To just be a nonprofit. To just say that we are here operating under this system, when the goal and the objective is for us to carve out our place our system that works for us, that's going to build us. It's a commandment given. This is what you have to fulfill for the generations to come. This is what you do for liberation. And this is what you do to save yourselves from annihilation. That's serious. That's beyond serious. That's beyond prophetical, because it's in our time the commandment is given. So some people search out for prophecies and things to come. And some will see that life is a living prophecy, and that we're living in the time, and the time is now. This is the call when it's more than just faith, it requires works. We've been called to build a nation of liberation for our people. Let your spirit embody that. Let your being embody that. Find your purpose in that. Find your redemption. Find your purification. Find it in that. I want to play a little tune at this stage before I open the floor. This is just for the vibrations that are echoing. And to give us that.
African creation, deep in my walk. I will defend my own, through the valley of the shadows unknown. Hey, Rastafari, straight to the bone. I am the cornerstone, I am the cornerstone. I will protect my own, through the fire where the vampire roam. Hey, Selassie, I straight to the bone. I am the cornerstone, I am the cornerstone. I am original man from the ancient time. We built the pyramids in on the sign. Yeah, world we design, power divine. Ank is the temple in the house of life. Most precise, hidden in a mental must come to light. Embedded in a song that agree at right. Ubuntu, when everything just unite. Divination when the book of the recite. Sark and heal what was cut by the knife. Watch out for the Buddha and the evil eye. Counting stars in the night sky. That only of the holy tribe. Book of knowledge from the Uber side. And the divine you locate mine. Give a young man the kaya vibe. Ogoroga malindi alai. Ajuoga runner in the night. Yaka dependent is on the combine. Nazak my holy guide. Many levels in the spirit time. My holy son the dual might. You near praise right. Static game with the alright. Kayongo and sister side. Mahamman not always right. Laman their precious king tribe. Tanazi to the little girl. With the family of the Jedi. Feel it inside. Feel it all the time. I will defend my own, through the valley of the shadows unknown. Hey, Rastafari, straight to the bone. I am the cornerstone, I am the cornerstone. I will protect my own, through the fire where the vampire roam. Hey, Selassie, I straight to the bone. I am the cornerstone, I am the cornerstone. I am in the Yabo zone. Roots on the elevator and set the tone. In the riverside with the barbell grow. Out of the heat and make me glow. Along my young bello come here new. You never see the voodoo in Pango. Send me book of Moses words can so. Yeah. Words can so. Tear my face and water's up. Water spirit can't catch me so. But I know how to deal with the yuck so. Yeah. And the back row. The juju dash on and they know. The calumba is on Terrico. Pendant the jour, I tell me so. Mango the stop make cuties friend. I will defend my own. Through the valley on déjà dans un hole. Hey, Rastafari, straight to the bone. I am the cornerstone. I am the cornerstone. I will protect my own. Through the fire where the vampire roam. Hey, still lost.
Protected his own.
The eye straight to the bone. I am the cornerstone. I am the cornerstone. I am.
Now we must protect our own, our government. Lift up our government. Protect our own and save them from annihilation. His Majesty is our cornerstone. Right there. His Majesty is our cornerstone. And he has given us the gift. He has set his feet within the valley of death and walked amongst the vampires to save his own. He has come from out of the mountains of the heavens and walked down into the valley of the vampires, of the fallen ones, to save his own. He has set a gift before them, a gift, a vessel, a ship, to bring them forth back to the mountains of the heavens. And it's called the Ethiopian World Federation. And this gift will help them save their own. So I give thanks to all who heed the call of the King of Kings, who heed the ordained order and accept the Constitution and the obligations thereof, and know that it is now time for us to lift up our government and save our own. Protect our government. For sometimes we find ourselves protecting systems that we know have failed us over and over and over again, but we won't trust our own. We trust the ordained governments by the Papa Bull, but yet we will not put our life and our spirit into the ordained government given by the King of Kings to free us. Yes, Chaplain, Chaplain Amdu, you wanted to come in and give a word? Yes, sir. Give thanks.
Kusa salam, lekimo. But the sovereignty that I and I have is established off of the sovereignty of our ancient Ethiopian culture. And as our international chaplain, the Honorable Elijah, Prophet Elijah, has showed us in the 23 commandments of the Constitution. But to promote, when we said to promote, even in our Constitution, we said to promote goodwill, love and goodwill among Ethiopians at home and abroad, thereby to maintain our sovereignty. So standing in love and unity is our sovereignty. So promote, meaning to exalt or to rise up from one state unto another state. So in Isaiah 55, which shows us about the golden invitation of our sovereign, inviting us to share in this golden invitation of our ancient faith. For the International Chaplain General, the Honorable Prophet Elijah, he tells us the definition of ancient. So the king has given us a mission to promote the ancient culture of Ethiopia. An international chaplain say the definition of ancient is a way that's not being practiced today. You know, it's something that's not currently being practiced. That's why it's called ancient. So we say, what is the ancient culture of Ethiopia? Some will have us think that Ethiopia wasn't already founded in the ancient principles of Exhibit higher level of Christos or Christ of mercy and truth. For the way the Europeans, the Ferengi bring it as if Christianity was introduced into Ethiopia. But howbeit could this be true if Ethiopia is the first foundation of morality and the beginning of civilization and the creator of mankind, flowing all the way through the bones of Dekanish. So we know the story now of our people established from the story of Melchizedek and Melchizedek's son, Ethael, who Melchizedek been taken over by Memphis Kudus, came forward with the prophecy to his son, telling his son his name is changed from Ethel to Ethel and go to the land seeking out the mouth of the Blue Nile, a land called Opia, where it's good and yellow gold. So you shall establish this land as Ethiopia, the land where our Exhibit will one day become our king, and he shall be given the yellow gold of this land. A throne shall be fashioned for him out of the yellow gold. Precious wood of this land, the shittim wood, shall be overlaid with the yellow gold of this land, the wood that would not rot. And a throne shall be fashioned for him. And the yellow gold shall be taken of this land, and a crown shall be fashioned for him. And of the yellow gold, a rod shall be fashioned for him. And a staff shall be fashioned for him. And the ancient golden thread embroidered in the holy robes with the red, the chrism ancient red, or the prophetic priesthood. So he shall wear the precious chasuble. He shall wear the precious chasuble of Melchizedek. Represent he who embodied Melchizedek to speak to his son, Sila Meleket, who is the divine Akel of Beluta Ab Memphis Kudus. In one, the triple crown king empowered with the three prophetical powers, bringing us unto the ancient culture of Ethiopia, of what the meaning when the day when a man shall be more precious than the golden wedge of Ophir. Star King, ye Ethiopia, Koheb Negusi, ye Negusi Negesitu, Meskele, who shall conquer the dragon and seal him with a seal and set up the thrones of governance, thrones of sovereignty. And those that sat thereon were those dressed in white, who Irish arose and they was beheaded. Ones who was beheaded for their testimony of Jesus Christos and for their testimony of the rider on the white horse, who is the word of God. Upon his head was many crowns, and his eyes was like a flame of fire. And out of his mouth went forth a sharp sword, that with it should smite the nations. For unto us a son was given, unto us a child was born, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. And this is the name whereby he shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Siam Exhibia, the Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Other nations say they have a king, but they don't have no negus. For negus is an ancient word, the most ancient word of the universe. There's no other negus. No other nation has that negus. They have kings, but he is the negus negasta, the king of kings. So the word negus is a very ancient word. And the first negus himself being the 35th son of Adam. The 35th son of Adam become the first negus of our ancient Ethiopian culture, in line with Isaiah chapter 44. What the king Exhibit tell us, even coming forward from the book of Samuel in 2 Samuel verse 8, chapter 8, when Israel asked for a king. And Samuel, prophet, told them, watch this thing you're asking for. Do not provoke the Lord your God, for he is your king. He has always ruled over you. For every battle that Israel won, the odds was against them, and they could only subdue their enemies through their king. When they ruled in theocracy, but this time, better Israel asked for a king they could see, a king that could lead them into war and go fight their battles for them. So they asked for a divine monarchy to come. And Exhibit says, hold, Samuel. Samuel, hold, for it's not you that they reject, but it is I who they reject. But I have a aim and an objective. Fret not thyself. And this is the manner of the king that you should tell them that shall rule over them. And this is the foundation that was set up for the Ethiopian nation, according by rank, Desh match, Cash match, Crash match, Fatarari, Astralinka, Metarinka, the commander of 10, the commander of 20, the commander of 50, the commander of 100, the commander of 1,000. And over them, and the head of them, is the commander-in-chief himself, the King of Kings and the Lords of Lords, the Morning Bessers, Zemanagate Jehuda, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, and Teklahamanat, the defender of the faith, Shayam Exibir, the elect of the Most High. So we come together constitutionally to promote the ancient culture of Ethiopia, to bring us into the oneness together through education. For through education, we all shall be at one, and we all shall see the same as one sun and one moon over us. For he shall shine as the sun on earth, and bright, in fulfillment of Isaiah 55 and Isaiah 65. So it's so relevant for I and I to have our international chaplain here today to bring us the 23 points of commandments of the Federation. For Local 49, we have been established as the vanguard unit, guardians of the central power of the Holy Triune, the Parsicelette, in the statehood, to bring forth how the king reigning over us in the setup of our United Nation through law and order as pertained in the 1931 Constitution, Chapter 2, Powers and Prerogatives of the Emperor, and the 1955 Revised Constitution, also the 1974 Draft Constitution that His Imperial Majesty delivered to Parliament on August 12, 1974, of which 30 days later, they was arresting His August Majesty on September the 12th, 1974. So this Constitution would not get out to the world. So I give thanks in this statehood and sovereignty, for our King said, without me, they shall fall under the prisoners. For he took papal bull doctrine and their slavers and colonizers prisoners, for he outranked them in the Davidic throne. For Pope Pius XI said his ranking came through Peter, but Peter is not a covenant of David, which is founded in Psalm 132. Of the fruit of thy loins shall I sit upon thy throne. If thy children will keep my statutes and testimonies, they and their children shall sit upon thy throne also. So this is a foundation given to us by our Almighty and set into the throne as a mercy seat to bring thy through sovereignty. For our Constitution said to promote the goodwill of the Father and the brotherhood of man. And our brotherhood symbol is our King that has been established to bring forth the true heavenly manner of our Christ, to show us the brotherhood of how we should govern each other according to the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. So our Father granted us to rule with him in the new chapter of Ethiopia after the liberation. For he said, as my Father has allowed me to sit in the throne with him and rule, I invite you as my brethren, not as subjects, to sit with me in my throne to help me rule. So now we have the constitution of monarchy given to we, that our king is inscribed in morality in our constitution as the day of Mascal, birthday of the emperor, and August 25th, our constitutional day. So give thanks for this day of sovereignty given to us by Siam Igzibia. Yes, I give thanks, Chair.
Yes, I. And in closing, the chaplain mentioned again ancient Ethiopian. And a lot of times we don't have a clear perspective of terminology. So a lot of times in the Bible, we hear the bright and morning star. And this terminology for bright and morning star, it has a history. And here you see it being traced back to the Mesopotamia, but it's falling under dietary or component. But let's go a little further back on this so we get a better clarity. So our chaplain mentioned niggas. In etymology, sometimes during the development of the Ethno-Semitic language family, Melek or Malik, the original tri-consonantal root for king was elevated to the generical word for God in the form of a broken plural, Amala. During this time period, the Semitic term for the ruler or lord, Negus, began to mean king, along with the term in the earliest Ethiopian state. Now, right now, when people tell you they want to be on mushrooms and all of that, because they want to go into that DMT state. And let's just look at DMT for Ethiopia. This is one of the earliest component of kingdoms in Ethiopia. And you see the language Ge'ez is here as well. Was an Ethiopian Sabian or Sabian kingdom located in present-day Eritrea and northern Tigray region of Ethiopia. The exact dates of its existence remain unknown. However, a time frame spanning from the end of the 8th century BC to the 6th century BC is hypothesis. A few inscriptions by or about this kingdom survive. Very little archaeological work has taken place as a result. It is not known whether DMT ended as a civilization before the kingdom of Axum, earlier stages, or evolved into the Axumite king state, or was one of the smaller states united into the kingdom of Axum. So it's a very early part kingdom of Ethiopia. And when we get to there, they have the terminology Mukarib, priest king. Now, we find priest king as Maliki, Malachi, Maliki Tesedek. And that's where we get Melchizedek. So a priest king order is an ancient tradition of Ethiopia, mostly associated with the kingdom of Sheba, was in use in the Ge'ez Malak or Malek remained enthroned names into the Gondarian period. And in an ancient Amharic inscription mentioning the god Atar, his name is followed by the title Negus or Negus, corresponding to the ancient North Arabian Negus, meaning ruler. The vocabularies of the various other East and West Semitic languages, such as Akkadian, contain congruence to the Habesh term negus, with definitions ranging from regional lord to tyrant. Now, when you track that, you find that what you learn is these areas where they call Mesopotamia and so forth, um, the Negus and presence, so forth. These are all you go through the Amara letters, all of the regions that they're talking about are regions that were under the Amara letters. Now, the Amara letters are unusual Egyptological research because they are written not in the language of ancient Egypt, but in cuneiform, the writing system of ancient Mesopotamia. Most are in a variety of Akkadian, sometimes characterized as mixed language Canaanite Akkadian. But they are letters out of Egypt from Amenhotep IV and so forth. One especially long letter, abbreviated EA24, was written in a late dialect of Hurarian and is the longest contiguous text known to survive in that language. So they're looking at the Amana letters and they're seeing that, let's go here. These letters comprise a cuneiform tablet written primarily in Akkadian and the regional language of diplomacy for this period were first discovered around 1887 by local Egyptians who secretly dug most of them from ruined city of Amarna and sold them in the antiquities market. They had originally been stored in an ancient building that archaeologists have since called Bureau of Correspondence of Pharaoh. Once the locations where they were found was determined, the ruins were explored for more. The first archaeologist who successfully recovered more tablets was Flinders Petrie. We did a video where Petrie discovered the place where Moses was supposed to have went. He, in 1891 and 1892, uncovered 21 fragments. The Emile Chastillon, then director of the French Institute for the Oriental Archaeology in Cairo, acquired 2 more tablets in 1903. Since Kennedu's edition, some 24 more tablets or fragments have been found, either in Egypt or identified in collections of various museums. The initial group of letters recovered by local Egyptians have been scattered among museums, Germany, England, Egypt, France, Russia, United States. Either 202 or 203 tablets are the Vortis Museum in Berlin, 99 are at British Museum, 49 or 50 are at Egyptian Museum in Cairo, 7 at Louvre, Paris, 3 at Puxen Museum. So you've got like what, 400, 500, about 50, 60, 71. So you got like 171, maybe 70 tablets all together. And these tablets is the archives contain a wealth of information about cultures, kingdoms, events, and individuals in a period from which few written sources survive. It includes a correspondence from Ankheten reigned, Ankheten, who was also titled Amenhotep IV, as well as his predecessor Amenhotep III's reign. The tablets consist of 300 diplomatic letters. The remainders comprise miscellaneous literature and educational material. These tablets shed much light on Egyptians' relations with Babylon, Assyria, Syria, Canaan, Alicia or Cyprus, Metanea, Hittites, The letters have been important in establishing both the history and chronology of the period. Letters from the Babylonian king Kadesh Enlil first anchored the time frame of Akhenaten's reign to the middle 14th century. They also contain the first mention of the Near Eastern group known as Habir, whose possible connections with the Hebrew, due to the similarities of words and geographical location, remains debatable. Other rulers involved in the letters include Tushra of Metania or Lebana or Lebu of Shechem, Abi Habeb of Jerusalem, and the quarrelsome king Reb Haba of Byblos, who in over 58 letters continuously pleads for Egyptian military help. Specifically, the letters include requests for military help in the north against the Hittite invaders, and in the south to fight against the Hebrew. There's a relationship in all of throughout what they call Mesopotamia, they call Iran, Iraq, and the Amana letters produce a reality of a collective empire where all of the rulers were connected because they were corresponding back to a central government. So when we look at that, you know, we start to look at things like the Attar and the title Negus being found in these areas. And the titleage of priest king and the association with this titleage is there still because they found a correspondence. That's why they're mentioning them together. They're mentioning them together. They found a correspondence, you know. So the titleage coming out of Ethiopia is so important, you know. We know that, and I'll put the regular name that the Greeks use. I wanted to go into the thing, but I don't know if we're gonna get the right story here. But Osiris leaves out of Ethiopia, and goes and creates the colony, what they call Egypt or Kemet. So when everyone goes to talking about the Matin or Ma'at and all of these sciences dealing with Egypt or Kemet, the root of it is Ethiopia. And when you describe Osiris as a ruler coming out of Ethiopia, then that means where does his divine lineage come from? What is his divine lineage? You know? So just to speak in the ancient Ethiopian, you know, science there. It's just like somebody got this one. Just speaking that ancient Ethiopian science, we are looking at Osiris or Asar as an Ethiopian. So now the journey of Asar must have a symbolical message of the journey of the Ethiopian, just to make that clarity. So with that, floor is open. We'll be closing at this stage. We said we wouldn't stay long, and the weather is coming back my way again. So um, I know I'm probably going to drop signal in a minute again. So give thanks. Floor is open. Ancient Ethiopian history. Yes.
To the chair.
Yes, yes. Floor is open.
Yes, sir. Negusa salam alaikum lekimo. It's really astonishing how the Amana letter books was spread amongst them. They did, so many went to America, so much went to Britain, uh, some more books went over here, some more went over here. It's like the prophecy of after they crucified uh, Christ, and they split his garments, and they fought over his garments. In the same sense, you know, the history of a people. So that gives that they know who we are. They know who we are because all of them took a piece of of our story. Because in the reading there it said that these were some of the last letters, sources that would lead to the information concerning these people of that time. No other sources survived to tell about that time. So these are very profound letters, and the language of Lasana Giz. Lasana Giz means the language of the free. So Lasana Giz means language of the free. Free from whom? Free from whom? If that's the language of the free, who are they free from? Right? Who are they free from?
Yes, sir.
And we have different talks about Pankai. When Pankai came to Egypt and conquered Egypt from Ethiopia, it returned again to the true birthright through Pankai, And remember the chest of Osiris, because we have the Ark of the Covenant, the tablet, but remember we have the chest now of Osiris, right? And Osiris' body was cut up. He was murdered by his brother Set, right? And then we have a resurrection, a resurrection. So here we have the same story given to us over again about one who has come to save his people and restore them, which is righteous to sacrifice oneself on behalf of thy brother, which is the true commandment of love given to us, as Abraham got ready to sacrifice Isaac. But here we have also the Tawahedo king that shall come, and he shall hold in his hand a measuring stick, which is Wahodi Ayastus Christos himself, his character, and he shall judge everyone according to Christ's character, which is the yardstick that he shall judge everyone according to. So we chant our Abatai Shalat prayer, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. In the Negus Golden Rule, where Jesus Christos tells us himself in the book of John that he shall pray the Father that he shall send us the Holy Comforter who shall not leave us, but shall abide with us forever. But he shall take what I have and show unto thee the plain words of it. And I say he shall take what is mine, because what belongs to my Father belongs to me, because me and my Father are one. So the greatest proclamation that the king Katamari Haile Selassie Siamek Zebir gave after his return to Addis Ababa from the mountains of Antalto was, do not reward evil for evil. We shall take the enemy's weapons and make him return by the way that he has came. Do not for 1 second give him a minute to spoil the good name of Ethiopia. So a good name is better than anything in the Father's sight. So this foundation given to we is a very holy foundation and the realness of a oneness, to have a consciousness of Siam Exhibir, our Redeemer and our vengeance. He's the Lord our righteousness, but the Lord our vengeance. But vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So we have to be at one to overcome ourselves. Now we to come together and practice true solidarity. And my brother and my sister is no longer my enemy, but I have come to enlighten them. For the spirit of Siam Exhibir's own eye, to preach good tidings unto the meek, and to bind up the brokenhearted, and proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and to loose the prisoners from the pit of darkness, to come into the light of truth, and eat of the heavenly manna of Christ, which is see no evil, speak no evil, do no evil, and enter into the true Negusalam in accordance with Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 21. Sila, Sila, Sila. Yes, Chair. Give thanks.
Yes, Chair. Back to you, President. Simeon. The floor is open if anyone else wanted to give a final word or ask a question. Give thanks. Simeon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, anybody have anything? Floor is open. I'd like to say great reasoning. And that book puts into a structure, a strategy that shows different attributes of reloading and also revitalizing and going after certain things. We might need to go over and over after certain things because it takes 2 or 3 you know um goes at it to break what was set from before, with the psychological bonds that we've been messed up with from what Babylon gives us. So that is a great methodology to definitely break away from the programming that is set, and also a way of how to program our own minds with the consciousness of the purpose of these words and the attributes as to what they bring and the benefits of what they bring.
So give thanks to that literature. Those are the good things that we deem to be tools to change our reality, to bring it to what it needs to be. A reality for us that's natural, organic, and based off of principles of truth, universal truth. Things that are refined, things that are profound, and things that are thought provoking. So we give thanks and praise for the great reasoning this evening to get into why His Majesty is who he is because of his works, not just because of his faith alone, but because of his works. He had to pray in Lalibela, but when he got up, he made his strategy in Bath. When he got up, he made a strategy to win the war. When he got up, he made a strategy to make a reality for us in 1937. So we give thanks and we are grateful for his chanting. We are grateful for his meditation that he practiced to keep him strong and keep him mindful and keep him sharp and vigilant in his time. So it's just a wonderful reality that is becoming more and more normal in our minds because we are witnessing the fall of Babylon. Mystery Babylon. We're witnessing the fall of it. The Armageddon is over. And we are here to gather in our Father's mansions with his many houses. And these houses coming together, we give thanks and praise. Yes, I. Anyone else? Floor is open.
Well, Nagu Salam, President, I would say that I could play the national anthem and we could close this meeting, this
Yes,
study
sir.
group. Highly.
As you prepare to turn that on, I wanted to say I put a post on Facebook, and the question was, what is it to have a great history and not to live to have a great future? Well, the Ethiopian World Federation's constitution tells you to disseminate your great history, but to carve out your great future. And that's when it is having a plan and a goal and an objective for your people. So we must carve it out.
Got to be in that land of Ethiopia. It's the black man kingdom. Ethiopia, the land of our fathers, the land where our gods of to be. Like bees to our hive swiftly gather, your children are gathered to thee. With our red, gold, and green floating o'er us, and our emperor to shield us from wrong. With our hope and our future before us, we
Moving out, President. Ibusa salam. Leku lakimu. Malcolm Nigatu. Abakudus Kadamawe. Kadamawe. Haile Selassie. Siam Exhibia. Mon Bessa. Zimunagedi Zuhuda. Ababa Johai. Stila. 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 Yes, I. At this time, I pull up this to close us out. Stila. 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 It's that Membrak. Mon Bessa Zimunagedi Zuhuda. The conquer of the tribe of Judah. Adhu Ab. Rel. Memphis Kudus. Haile Akal, Abakudus Kedamawi, Haile Selassie Siam, Exhibia. Bahaman Ab, Bererd, Memphis Kudus. Haile Akal, Abakudus Kedamawi, Haile Selassie Siam, Exhibia, Sila, Melikat. One is the Holy Father, one is the Holy Son, one is the Holy Irit, the divine might of divine power of the Kudus Selassie, the Lord's baptized and anointed King, the personified Adhu Amlak, wearer of the precious chasuble, of the power of Kudus Ab Weld Memphis Kudus. Truly the Father is holy, truly the Son is holy, truly the Holy Spirit is holy. Through the might of divine peace of Kudus Selassie, the baptized and anointed, elect of Exhibia. For the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of Abakudus Kadamawi, Haile Selassie Siam Exhibia, Sila Melikat, Sila. Our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom has come, thy will shall be done, throughout earth as it is in Zion. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Night. Strengthen us in temptation, and deliver us, O Exhibir, from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, through the true and faithful witness of Christ. Abakudus Kedamawe, Haile Selassie Siam Exhibir. Nugusa Salam, Leku Lekimu, Malcolm Nigatu, Abakudus Kedamawe, Haile Selassie Siam Exhibir. Yinugusi Nigesitu Yideli Meskeli. Yi Ethiopia Koheb Nigusi. Yi Nigusi Kudusi Widi. Amlakana Hailina Wasawana Hasana Sata Masagana Amlakana Hailina Wasawana Hasana Sata Amasagana 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 Moan Besa Zemenagedi Zuhuda Bahani Alam Yi Nigusi Nigesitu Ethiopia. the star king of Ethiopia, for we, the black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, freedom, and self-determination, to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, we do hereby uphold and defend this ordained constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated unto His Imperial Majesty Moa Ambessa Zemanagedi Zuhuda as Commander-in-Chief of the Mahel Safari Forces of Ethiopia in accordance with the 1931 Ethiopian Constitution, Chapter 2, Powers and Prerogatives of the Emperor, Article 29. The Emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of Parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained, both in times of peace and in times of war. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege and martial law or a national emergency, and to take such measures as are necessary to meet a threat to the defense or integrity of the empire, and to assure its defense and integrity. So the measures that the king took was to establish we, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, as his auxiliary force to maintain the integrity and sovereignty of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage. Word from the Mashafa Bahan, the book of light, Isaiah 55:4. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader, a commander to the people. Isaiah 55:4 describes the suffering servant as a witness, leader, and commander to the people. This means that the servant represents Exhibia, leads people to follow him, and commands people to obey him. Witness, the servant represents and speaks in Exhibia's name. He confirms the covenant that Exhibia has made with his people, the seven Tawahido covenants. Leader, the servant teaches people to profit and leads them in the right way. He leads people out of their own ways and into his ways. Commander, the servant commands people to obey him. He is wise, powerful, valiant, and courageous leader who is always victorious. Gutamari. The servant calls a people that was ignorant of true faith. Nations will eagerly run to serve him because he glorified the only true and living Exhibir. Kidus Selassie. Bessemer Ab, Vaed, Memphis Kudus, Haile Akal, Abba Kudus, Kanamawi, Haile Selassie, Siam, Exhibir, Silaha, Melaket, Behaman, Hab, Vaed, Memphis Kudus, Haile Akal, Abba Kudus, Kanamawi, Haile Selassie, Siam, Exhibir, Silaha, Melaket. Selah, Selah, help us. Be with the sick in this time, O Lord. Be with their families members. Give them strength. Strengthen I, that the hunger may be fed, the naked clothed, the sick nourished, the aged protected, the infants cared for, and the shelterless sheltered, and the prisoners visited, and those uneducated in Christ's heavenly manner, educated in the manner thereof. Deliver our night from the lands of our enemies, that must prove fruitful in these perilous days. And in these perilous days, when our enemies have passed away in the cave, in the depths of the sea, the depths of the earth, or in the belly of a beast, grant thy in our place and our everlasting kingdom, through the name and power of the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, the seat of the Most High, the defender of the faith, the Caduce, Memphis Caduce, that did raise up Christ out the grave and raise up the nation out of the graves of the rest. Rise, dry bones. Can these dry bones live, Son of Man? Selah, Selah. Selah. Give thanks. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Give thanks. Give thanks. Selah. All right. Everyone have a wonderful night. Negusa Salam.
Give thanks. Look for the now. Give thanks.
Musa Salam. Give thanks, International Honorable Chaplain, for attending this light. Give thanks, honorable members, for coming on this light. Give thanks for Ross Lazarus, our foreign minister, for leading us forward in this study group, this light. Give thanks for our president to organize and hold the chair. Give thanks for the members who come on. Give thanks for the tolerance. Give thanks for your daily support in coming to do these things. And give thanks for the Holy Irit, for all the ones to come together in faithfulness and beholding the love and brotherhood per Constitution. Selah, Selah.
Better Israel, yeah. Better Israel, yeah. Oh, yeah. Give it up. The people of the land rule oppression, exercise robbery, vex the poor and needy, polluted in their way, and will take off your crown. Remove your diadem, exalt him that is low. Neither do they regard the God of their fathers. They have no desire for woman. Them exalt forces, they come into our fields and them take them by violence. Them oppress a man in his house, even in everything. They try to put a bit into my mouth that I might obey and go whichever you say and say whatever you say. But I know your works. We're negative, even though they keep on holding on to my name. Israel, yeah. Better Israel, yeah. Go ask Aristotle and go ask Plato who built Jerusalem. Go ask Herodotus and Diodorus who built Jerusalem. Go ask Pliny and Plutarch who built Jerusalem. Go ask Aristophanes and Diogenes who built Jerusalem. Israel, yeah. Ethiopian built Jerusalem, and all along, and all along. We don't take money to forget. Don't break covenant and forget. Just can't pay me to forget. So that the people of the land ruled oppression, exercise robbery, vex the poor and needy, polluted in their way. Someone will take up your crown. Remove your diadem, exalt him. That is low. Neither do they regard the God of their fathers. No desire for woman. They exalt forces. They come into our fields and them take them by violence. They oppress a man, even his house, even his heritage. They try to put a bit into my mouth that I might obey. And go whichever you say, and say whatever you say. But I know your works when negative, even though they keep on holding on to my name. When you arrive at the original sites of the temples of Solomon, we were long gone back to the mountains of Kenya and Buganda, Central Valley of Africa. Better Israel, yeah. Ethiopian built Jerusalem, and all along, yeah.
Yes, sir. Nagusa salam.